Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Virginia, and today I am so excited to bring this video to you. It is a fall and a little bit of the start of the Halloween DIYs for me. We're going to be making some delicious looking, but definitely not so delicious tasting fake food. Yes, all of this is faux food. We're using resin and spackle and soap and all sorts of different supplies in today's video. This is a fun one. It's a little bit of a start into the Halloween season. We have some candy corn, some boo marshmallows, and I'll also show you how to do a faux caramel apple. Let's get right into it. The inspiration for today's video are these iron-on transfers that I have. Thought they were so cute and they looked like delicious fall treats, so I wanted to make some faux versions of them. The resin kit I'm using I got off Amazon. It had really good reviews, wasn't very expensive, and I will be linking it down below in my Amazon shop if you want to check it out. This was my second time working with resin. I made some necklaces that had a little bits of pressed flowers in them, so I had done a lot of research on how to kind of get resin to work. For this one, I'm going to be adding paint. You do equal parts of the A and the B mixture, very self-explanatory, and then I added in a little bit of yellow paint. One thing that I've learned with resin is you have to stir it for a very long time. I stirred them for about 5 minutes just to make sure I wasn't getting any air bubbles. It is a lot easier when you have paint in versus when you're doing a clear resin like I had done previously with the jewelry that I made. With the paint, it's a lot easier to kind of hide any air bubbles that might come up. So this was definitely easier than jewelry making for me. I'm doing the exact same thing with the next color in our candy corn orange, adding in equal parts of the part A of the resin and the part B and a couple drops of orange and stirring that for a long time, about 5 minutes. I had a show on, or maybe I was watching YouTube, probably a mix of both. You'll also notice I'm doing this in my dining room. You want to have a very well ventilated area when you're working with resin. My dining room has tons of windows, so I had them all open. My craft room only has one tiny window, and I didn't want to be inhaling the fumes too much. Also, some pains that come along with working in a new space and a new setup. You can see my head in quite a few of the shots. I'm sorry about that. It gets a little worse throughout the video, but then it gets much better. So I start to learn to kind of have good posture and sit back. So sorry about that, but I really had to craft in the dining room for this one. The last bit, we are doing the exact same, mixing the A and B, but this time adding in some white paint for, of course, the white section of the top of the candy corn. I'm going back to my iron-on and just referencing it for what I want to do in this next one. I had gotten one of the new Starbucks drinks. I only get Starbucks maybe twice a year, once around Christmas and once when they come out with their pumpkin drinks. They have a new one this year. It's a pumpkin chai tea. So delicious. I really recommend it. And I kept the cup because I knew I wanted to use it for this DIY. I'm going to be making some iced coffee. And for this one, instead of resin, I am using soap. Got it at the Dollar Tree, and it was a little bit too orange for me. It was looking more like children's medicine or an orange soda than a pumpkin coffee. So I did use a little bit of my Waverly Stain in Antique to just make that a little bit more brown and really look more like an iced coffee. With 2 out of the 3 of my fall drinks completed, I am moving on to making the toppers. I grabbed some cardboard from a box and I am tracing the lids. Also for our third drink, I'm going to be using that glass cup that you can see in the shot right now. Got it from the Dollar Tree. It's one of my absolute favorites. And I am just tracing the lip of that to make sure that the cardboard will be able to go on top. And then I'm cutting them out. So I'm going to be doing it, I thought for the candy corn one, but I actually changed my mind on that one. So I'll just be doing it for the Starbucks drink and the Dollar Tree glass. This piping bag and the piping tips are both from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to fill it up with some spackle. I have not been able to find spackle at my Dollar Tree. Let me know in the comments down below if you have. I haven't seen it in months, so I did have to order this off Amazon, which is a little annoying because it's more expensive than I would like to spend on spackle that I'm going to use for faux food. But you know, the crafts demand it, so I had to do what I had to do. I'll have it linked down below. I started by placing the spackling in the piping bag, going all over the cardboard circle. And for this one, I placed a pumpkin in the center and I'm taking the spackle and just like icing, piping it all around, being messy, having fun with it. I think the messier the better for these because sometimes when they're too perfect, then they really look fake, but at least this one, it's messy, so people might actually think it's real. I also took some fall sprinkles and I'm just throwing those on while the spackling is still wet so that they will stick. Starbucks has those iconic green straws. I didn't have any green ones, but we'll paint it later, do not worry. But I did have a pink paper straw from one of my Valentine's Day crafts, so I stuck that into the spackling. Similar to our first one, I love the Dollar Tree clip pumpkins in the center of all of the faux whip. Really just brings home the fact that we're making this a pumpkin drink. And I covered this one with icing and then placed it on top of our Starbucks soap drink. And I also took the icing down. Unfortunately, when I leaned over, I was completely in front of the camera. You couldn't see anything. But now you can kind of see I am just bringing the spackling down so it looks like the whipped cream is dripping over. I also added a little bit of whipped cream to the candy corn and stuck in these really fun candy corn picks that I found last year that I thought looked like real candy, so it was perfect for this DIY. The last step for the soap drink and the candy was adding on some sprinkles and painting that straw green. Now I am moving on to my last resin iced coffee. We've already got the whip topper done. We just need to actually fill in our Dollar Tree glass. Doing the same thing, equal parts of A and B resin. And then I'm adding in a little bit of that antique stain by Waverly. I really liked how it came out with the soap, but I'm just adding a tiny bit to this one so it is a little bit lighter than our soap drink. After stirring that for about 5 minutes, I poured it into my Dollar Tree glass, and before it set, I had an idea that I was going to take these cupcake toothpicks from the Dollar Tree and snap off the pumpkins and have those floating around in my iced coffee, similar to how it was in the iron-on. Unfortunately, the pumpkins kept floating up to the top. I even waited 10 minutes while the resin was a little bit harder to poke them through, and they either added lots of air bubbles or kept floating up to the top. So unfortunately, I had to abandon that idea. And before I go in with my hot glue to adhere the whip topper onto our faux fall drink, I had this transfer from last year in the Dollar Tree, never used it, and thought that this could use a little something extra. So I did transfer this down onto our Dollar Tree cup before adding on the whip topper. It transferred so easily. It was almost more like a sticker than a transfer. I didn't even have to scratch it on. Let me know in the comments down below which of these is your favorite. For me, I think it is the soap one because that looks the most like iced coffee, and I love iced coffee personally. So I think that one has got to be my favorite. Now I am going to go a little bit more into the Halloween theme. I have made another faux dessert. We're making some fake marshmallows and they are going to spell out boo. So again, we are entering Halloween a little bit more. I am hoping that I can get a ton of crafts done this week, and I'm planning to have my giant Halloween video that I do every year out next Thursday. So this is just a little preview. To start off this DIY, we're going to be using these Crayola Model Magic. I got these at Walmart in the children's craft section. They worked really well. I used them last year for my little Halloween spooky cute ghost village. And for one marshmallow, I used almost an entire packet. I had a little bit left over that I'm going to save. They're the perfect size for smaller marshmallows. I made some smaller marshmallow snowmen last year for Christmas, so I am no stranger to the marshmallow game. Well, the fake marshmallow game. It's really easy. You're just going to grab your chunk of clay, roll it kind of into a cylinder shape, and then just start flattening out the top and the bottom. It all depends on how you want your marshmallows to look. They could be longer, skinnier, shorter, chunkier. I just went for a medium-sized marshmallow and pretty basic, in length and in how wide I wanted it. And I am just making a smaller one for reference if you want to see that. But I have my 3 around-ish the same size. I tried to get them as close as possible, and using black paint, I wrote out boo. I did not have any black paper straws. I only had red ones that I used for Christmas. So I actually took a Sharpie and just Sharpied all of the red parts black. So voila, with the magic of a Sharpie, we now have more Halloween looking paper straws. For the bows, I'm taking some orange gingham and doing a finger bow. I thought at first I was going to do a fork bow, so that's why I have the fork in the shot. I will link above if you want a more in-depth tutorial on the finger bow. I did one a couple of videos ago that a lot of you seem to enjoy, so I will definitely have that linked above if you want to check out a little bit slower and more in detail how to make these bows. It's a little hard to see in the shot here, but to make the icing look like it's running off of our marshmallows, I am taking hot glue, regular clear hot glue, and just piling a whole glob at the top and letting it drip down. We'll go in later and paint it black. You could also buy black glue sticks and then you wouldn't have to be doing the painting part, but I didn't have any, so we're just gonna improvise. I had some spiderweb fabric that I thought would be cool wrapped around our marshmallow sticks. So I cut out strips of them and just knotted them around the paper straws. And then I used some hot glue to adhere the gingham bows. Apparently, I completely forgot to record the part where I paint the glue black. Really self-explanatory. Wherever you had your hot glue, just cover it in black paint. It's very easy. While the paint was still wet, I also added some orange sprinkles to the top, and I tucked them down into this really adorable ghost mug that I got from Target. It was $5 in the dollar spot section. For the last DIY today, I'm gonna show you how to make a faux caramel apple. I started off with this faux apple that I got at Hobby Lobby. It was $2.99, but all of their fruit was on sale for 50% off, so I got it for a little bit better of a deal. Then I took a wood dowel from the Dollar Tree and just popped that into the top of our apple and went ahead and just cut off some of that excess wood dowel. Now I am making the caramel color. I used the color khaki and a darker brown, both from Apple Barrel. And I'm just swirling those together and adding a good amount of Mod Podge to this. Once I had my caramel color made, I took a brush and started to brush it on the apple. And the reason why I did this is because I wanted to have a clear line of where the caramel started. And then after this dried, you could always go in with a second coat. I did using my brush, but you could also put it in a larger bowl and dip it as if you were making a real caramel apple. The only reason why I used the brush at first is I just found it was a little bit easier to create that line of where the caramel started. But if you would rather dip it into your caramel paint, that works too. I decided to use real crushed nuts on my faux caramel apple, and I will show you in just a moment how I made this basically bug and pest proof so that you don't have to worry about, ants or anything crawling on your faux caramel apple. But I've seen people use the K-cob, which is a small rodent and bird bedding. But when I went to my Walmart, it was $16 for a small bag. So I decided to just go with some real peanuts. So I added on a little bit more layer of the caramel and then just sprinkled the peanuts on and waited until it was dry. After it was dry, I made a bow out of gingham and jute, and then to keep out any bugs and make it look even more like a caramel apple, I took this clear wrap from the Dollar Tree gift wrapping section and just wrapped it around my apple, and then I tied it in place with jute before taking that bow that I made earlier and placing that on too. If you're only displaying the apple for a day or a short period of time, you don't need the wrap, but I personally love the way the clear wrap looks. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, keep searching, keep creating.